Welcome back to day 2. We would like to acknowledge the Maki people whose ancestral and unceded territory we are gathered upon today. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship. This land continues to be home to diverse Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit, whom we recognize as stewards of the land and vital contributors of our society. I'd like to introduce Megan St. Rose, host of our workshop this afternoon. We're going to be digging into some amazing topics today, I know, exploring the medium of songwriting. Before we go forward with our workshop today, I do just want to mention some of our events happening later today. We'll be screening some of our short films from our 2020 and 2021 submissions. That will be at 5 p.m. And we have amazing poetry night this evening with a fantastic lineup featuring Elle Jones, Anna Kwan, Angela Bowden, Gayle Johnson, Josh Dunn, Ryan Gannon, Savannah Gannon, and Vicky Levac. And I'll pass it over to you, Megan. Enjoy.
Hi.
Take care.
Welcome. Hello, my name is Megan. Some people know me as Megan Reed. I'm known on stage as Megan St. Rose, and I'm here to teach you the structure of song. So I see songwriting in a very, I wouldn't say different way than anybody else. I mean, everybody sees it differently, but I have a very specific way of how I like harness songwriting. So I'll go through a little bit of an introduction first. I just want to remind you guys that this is a shared space. It is a compassionate space, as well as anybody watching at home online. Any of the information shared here, basically keep it in here. So even if you're watching at home, just remember that we're going to be sharing some personal stories. And so I would just love it if you guys could all kind of take something from that and not use it as judgment towards each other, which you all seem like friendly people. I don't think we will, but it's more like for the people at home. We will be talking about some, I don't know how deep we're going to go with it. That part I'll leave up to you guys. So go deep or go home. I like that.
Go home. I love it.
So a little background about my career as a songwriter is I've been a performing artist for about 13 years. I started doing YouTube videos at home, just in my room, Bo Burnham style, but never shirt, never style, happy, lovey, pop, punk, I don't know, folk acoustic stuff. And ever since then, I have put out some pop, R&B, soul, and now I'm leading in a metal band called Vormir. We've only had one show so far, so I'm hoping to see where that goes. But if that goes to show that I transverse a lot of different genres. So I look more at technique and structure as opposed to identifying with one specific genre. I'm more about the science of the songwriting and the structure of the songwriting itself. By day, I'm a digital media producer, so I do multimedia for TV, film, commercial media for artists, any of that sort of stuff. And another one of my favorite titles, Certified Cool Mom. My daughter's a musician as well, and I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't figure out how to play drums, so I got her to play drums. It's kind of nice. I'm slowly making my band for the future. I'm totally kidding. I'm never having another kid. But next, I would like to know who you guys are. So this is where we're going to start diving into some deep emotion stuff. What I would like to know from you is your name and your pronoun. What do you do? It doesn't have to be your job. It just who are you? What makes you who you are? Are you an artist? Are you a poet? Are you a performer? Do you identify with your day job? That's totally cool too. I just want to know who you are. What are you looking to achieve from today's workshop? And what is your favorite memory? It could be something from yesterday, something from your childhood, something from 5 years ago, but just try to think about, something that sticks out in your mind. The second somebody says, what's your favorite memory? What's the first thing that pops out to you? So I guess we can start with Vicky.
Okay, you're gonna start with me. Hi, my name is Victoria Levac, or Vicky, if you're nice to me. My pronouns are she and her. I am a disability and human rights activist. I also do some writing. I recently got into circus performing. And I basically tell politicians what the right thing to do is if they do something bad.
Love it.
And what am I looking to achieve? I just want to learn more stuff. I've been doing a little songwriting with my music therapist, but more knowledge is always good.
Yes.
And favorite memory, let me think. Okay, that's a little bit of a cop-out, but was it 6 months ago or so? I got to tell out the premier for being a little bit of an ableist to his face. So that was fun.
I love that.
And my career as a human rights activist really started to take off from there. It got 21,000 views on the internet. I like to think that I was partially responsible for Mr. Rankin losing the election, which I take great pride in. And that's it.
Wonderful. I love that memory. Hold on to that because we're going to be using that for one of our exercises today.
Yes, my name is Ryan Gannon. My pronouns are he, him. And what I'm hoping to achieve from this workshop would be I've always used songwriting as just like an outlet to express myself, but learning a little bit more about the structure on how to actually put together a song would be really good for me. What I do is do a load of different things. I like to say I just identify as an artist, so I dabble in film, music, poetry, writing scripts, those kind of things, as well as doing facilitating. This is my day job, is facilitating employment programs, as well as working with youth who are going through tough situations and trying to help them out of those situations. Okay. And I have to say my favorite memory would be the birth of my children.
Wicked. Awesome.
Hi, I'm Tennessee. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm some kind of musical theater kid. I really like performing and like singing and like acting and that kind of stuff. Dance isn't I'm not particularly good at dancing, but I do enjoy it.
That's good.
I look to achieve from this workshop. I really do like singing little ditties and stuff from like everyday life, and it'd be nice just to know how like songwriting works and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my favorite memory, I played Michael Banks in a Mary Poppins production, and that was really fun.
That's
just like
exciting.
opening night.
Okay, those are all really good. I love the diversity between the types of memories you guys have shared. The types, I love that you guys are all artists in some way or another. And everything that you guys say we're looking to achieve today, we are going to be working towards, how to put together a song. But I feel like everything that you guys are going to be expecting from today is just, it's not going to be anything you're expecting. So today I've broken down, I've broken down the idea of being able to write a song in like a verse, chorus, verse kind of structure. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at how a song can actually naturally flow. So you said you like writing little ditties. I want, by the end of today for you to be able to literally sing a song about anything, which is something that I like doing. I'll do dishes and just start singing about the dishes. And, just you using it as a creative outlet. The whole purpose of today is as an emotional outlet. And you being a writer yourself, it's always great to learn. I love taking, like the whole pandemic, I spent all my free time taking extra courses and doing extra education to learn things that I didn't know before. So I love that, and I can't wait to see where this goes today. So we have, we're going to be doing 3 prompts today. But first I'm going to start with telling you guys that if you want to get better at songwriting, just get better at writing. And the reason that I say that is because it's the only thing that's helped me. These are just a few of the books that I have in a whole basket of books at home, and that's one of like 3 different baskets I have full of notebooks. I don't throw anything out, and none of them are set up like every day, dear diary, and this is the date, and dear journal this, and dear journal that. And, I have ones that I'll label for songwriting, but they'll have journal entries, and they'll have, sometimes they'll just have grocery lists. And I have actually been so stuck that I've flipped through a book, found a page with a grocery list, and then made a song about food because I saw that. And being able to use those words and kind of fill in the blanks and make a song out of it is, it's a nice skill to have, and it is a skill that needs to be practiced. I've met so many people who are constantly like, oh, I wish I could write music, or people who are like, I wish I could sing, or I wish I could do that. And it's like, you can do anything that you want, but the only thing is you have to practice. If you're gonna sit there and say, I wish I could do this, or I can't do this, but you can say I can't do this yet if it's something that you really do want to learn. And songwriting, just like every other skill, is something that requires practice. So if you're writing as much as I am, or as much as you guys all do in your lives, then, just keep doing that. Write everything, write lists to yourself, write letters to yourself, write letters to people that you'll never talk to and that they'll never receive them. Just anything, any kind of practice is good practice. One of my favorite things is to use prompt books. So I have this one that I found at Bookmark, downtown Halifax. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny little book, and it's 642 tiny things to write about. So when I open it up, if I can't think of something to write and I'm trying to write a song, then I'll be like, what if I just do some writing practice first? And then I'll find something to write about, and then maybe I can get some feelings from that and write a song out of it. So a good example is write the first communication sent back to Earth after humans land on Mars. So you can write an entire, you can write a whole day, you can create a whole imaginary ecosystem just based on that prompt alone. So our first prompt here, I already went through some helpful, stuff that you can use. We don't really need that, but your phone notepad's always useful. Having journals around, having notepads. But our first prompt is, I'm going to get you to write a letter to your fast self. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. Vicky, if you would just like to improvise a letter to yourself.
Use the brain.
Think. Wicked.
Yes.
And what I would like you to do is, you don't have to delve too deep into it, but your past self, I want you to think about yourself in that memory that you guys shared. So I want you to think about how you felt that day. I want you to think about what happened before that memory and what happened after that memory. And I want just 1 to 3 sentences about, what you would say to yourself. Did something happen the next day and you want to give yourself a warning? Are you very proud of something that you did that day and like a bunch of really cool things happened after the next day? Are you telling yourself you're proud? So I'll just take a step back. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes if you're done. Just let me know when you guys are all finished and ready to go, and then we'll share. And for everybody at home, you're more than welcome to just use the prompts at home to practice your writing on your own. Obviously, those people can't share here today, but yeah. It's going to be a quiet little 5 minutes. And even if you're finished before the 5 minutes, you can just let me know when everybody's done and ready to go, and we'll share.
All right.
I'm ready when they are.
You ready to go? We'll give them about 1 more minute, and then we'll get you.
Is harder than singing in your head.
But that's why we practice, right? The writing comes first,
Yeah.
and then we'll touch on how to incorporate the music to it after. That part's really fun. I can't wait. I'm feeling some intense emotion come over from the writing on this side here. So Ryan, we'll give you another minute. Just let me know when you're done.
We're good.
Cool, awesome. So Vicky, if you'd like to share with us first, since you were done first.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Dear Vicky, I realize what you did today was very hard. It's very hard to have somebody tell you that they're proud of you, but are not willing to help you succeed. That are proud of you for standing up to them, but will do nothing to change their behavior or their image of you. I realize you have a lot of pain and a lot of anger for how you've been treated, and I want you to know that you are not alone, and that the work you do is going to be very, very hard, but it's very, very worth it. Because you, my dear, are going to change the world just like Dad said. And you're going to get tired, and you're going to get angry, but that's okay. Just make sure that you use it for good and not evil. P.S. Get some body sleep, will ya?
Oh, you said go deep or go home, and that was right in the heart. I love that. I love that. So we're going to take that emotion and that, that pride of self and that pride for what you do and that pride in what you do and that passion, and we're going to apply it to the next couple practices too. I love that. That was great.
Cool.
Ryan?
Yes. So I was writing about the time of the birth of my children. So what I wrote was, Dear Ryan, hold on to this memory and during the tough times. Things will not always be this happy. The kids will have hard times, so will you. But remember that protector feeling that overcame you on this day. This is how life will work from now on. This is your role. Hold on to the kids as they will grow fast, and you will be part of developing that growth.
That was beautiful. And as a parent as well, I can definitely relate to that. So that was wonderful. This is really exciting. I said we're going to get emotional today, and this is pretty emotional.
Yeah, so I wrote, all right, Tennessee, so you're about to go on stage, and you're really excited, but just don't be scared, I was there. It was amazing. You were so confident, and you were so amazing. Remember to be confident. Remember to be happy, to be theatrical, and again, to be very confident.
And if you don't feel confident, fake it till you make it. That's what acting is, right? No, I'm kidding. I love that. All of these were amazing. So, I mean, I guess we could feel the feelings in the room. But just that practice alone, just that release of thinking and putting, thought to words. I mean, that's what you do in your career. That's what you do in your career. That's what you do in your career, all in different ways. But actually putting pen to paper or, thought to external thought. How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like you tuned into an emotion you didn't think you were going to feel today? Or do you have any comments about?
I didn't expect to get teary.
Exactly.
I'm very teary right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt kind of good. Yeah.
So the reason that that's important is because one of my main practices for songwriting is I like to sit and relive moments, even if they're painful moments, and you just sit there and kind of channel that energy. So if I want to write, say somebody gives me an instrumental and it's a sad song, then I'm going to go back to a time in my life where I was feeling kind of sad or heartbroken or upset, or something inspirational where I was going through a tough time and had to overcome it somehow, and that's how you get those strong bridges and strong choruses. But notice how when you guys delivered those letters, which if you do this practice at home, read them out loud to yourself. Say them with your physical voice. Don't just read them back to yourself in your head, but say them out loud, because you'll feel that emotion and you'll relive that moment again. And I know it's always good to practice leaving the past in the past, but a good thing about songwriting is it's almost like time travel. Is you can sit there and dip your toes into that memory for a minute just to channel that energy and channel that emotion. That's why we keep the letters nice and short and sweet, so you're not reliving past, sad days or if there's negative emotions, but it's a lot easier if it's happier emotions. And that's another thing too. If you're having a bad day, you can relive a happy emotion and you can be remember when I felt that happy, and write a little letter to yourself. You're remember, you'll be feeling that again, and then you'll read it out to yourself and you'll feel it again. And yeah, when you can apply that to songwriting, you can channel any emotion that you want. We'll get into the rhythm and the flow of everything afterwards, but in the words itself, you can create emotion with music without even using words, but when you add when you have emotion in the lyrics, it just adds an extra layer to that, right? Did it feel authentic?
Yes.
I felt like that was going to be, because I felt that from all three of you. And how much do you feel you've changed between then and now? Do you think past you would have really needed to hear this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely. I had a nervous...
I can feel from you, Vicky, that you seem to have overcome a lot since then, and that was all of these letters were beautiful.
Yeah, I had a nervous breakdown right before the show, so I definitely needed this letter.
That was the confidence. That was the be confident, because you're going to get this. Awesome. Well, so what we're going to do is move on to the next part, which, we'll put those emotions in the back of our head for now, because that's part of the practice of songwriting is you have to be able to bring it, but you have to be able to put it back too. It helps you compartmentalize, it helps you channel different emotions, and it helps you touch on different topics so that you can use your song as a creative outlet to just release the emotion of that one song or that one time out of one song, and then you can put it aside and then move on to the next practice and have a good time with your day. But it's a fun little emotional roller coaster ride. You get some really cool creative stuff out of it. But the cool thing about songwriting I love is that there are literally no rules. And I have some really interesting examples that you guys might laugh at. So first, do you know Around the World by Daft Punk? That is the whole song. There are no other lyrics in that whole song. So if you can't think of what to write and you're oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do, I can't think of the next line, repeat the last line. because apparently all they did was repeat the last line and then repeat the last line and then repeat the last line. But when you listen to the song, it's such a good song, isn't it? And that's still lyrics conveying emotion, because, you know, when you get that, like, that EDM feel, that around the world, I don't know about you, but when I listen to that song, it sounds like something's going like this around me the whole time. And they don't even need to say different things to convey that emotion. Another good example, if you guys watch Family Guy, or if you just like old surf music, half the song is telling you that the bird is the word. So all of the words are bird, but not all of the words are bird, you know? And the second half of the song isn't even words, it's just sound effects. So once again, if you can't think of what you're gonna write, just kind of make sounds. That's what My Chemical Romance and Naughty Boy did when they couldn't figure out what to write. My Chemical Romance couldn't write a chorus, so they went na 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 na, and you know, maybe that was a placeholder at the time, and then they realized it was catchy as hell, so they just kept it. Naughty Boy feat. Sam Smith, that song is actually, the story behind that song is they went into the studio to write a song together, and both of them were facing such writer's block that they wrote a song about not being able to figure out the words to say. So half the song is la 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 na 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 na. I don't remember how that one goes exactly. I don't know why it's not coming up. I listened to it yesterday, but it's half of that song is la 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 na 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 na. Another honorable mention, if you guys know this guy. This is a funny little backstory too, because there are words to this song. It's a Russian song from about the 70s or 80s when USSR was still in full swing, and he had written a love song. I forget what it's, I think it's like, I'm so glad you came back around, or something like that. I tried to learn the Russian words for it, but that language is, I didn't want to do this guy any disrespect, because that song is so cool. Because all he does is, he didn't want to disrespect the leaders of the country that he was touring in at the time, because he had to like spend years applying for a touring pass. The USSR was not a good time for musicians, but Edward Keel managed to get through, and then all of his like publicists and whatnot were, you know, saying, we don't really want you to we don't want you to get in trouble, man. And in the USSR, if you get in trouble, you get in a lot of trouble. So he comes out on stage about to sing this song about courting a woman, which, you know, back in the USSR days when men were everything, then that was a big no-no. You don't go soft for a woman. So he comes out and he goes, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, and that's the whole song. And I couldn't even find the lyrics to the original song, because this song became so popular for having no words that the lyrics to the song are like, you have to dig for them. You have to absolutely dig for them. You can't even find it by the title of the song. You have to search the tra-la-la-la-la song, and it'll come up, no problem. So what we're gonna do is move on to the next part. That's just gonna show you that, you know, you can break down those rules. There's no boundaries. You don't have to, you know, sit there and turn a letter into a song, but you can channel that emotion, and then however you feel, if you feel like just going, and that's a whole song. You can just literally do a whole song of like da 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 da, and that's all I do at home too. If I can't sing if I can't sing for my supper or figure out the words, then I'll just la da 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 da. And that's a good practice as well, because what it's doing is it's giving you the facial muscle practice of, you know, getting used to singing without having to think about what words you're gonna sing next. So it's almost like your body's doing the action of singing. And then doing the exercising practice just puts the words in your mouth already, so you're already comfortable with putting the words into the song. So our second one, what we're going to do is write a list of everything you see. And now, it doesn't have to be physical objects. It can be colors, it can be shapes, it can be, bright lights, it can be black curtains, it can be, yellow, like whatever words come to your mind, I want you to write down a list. When you guys were done, or when you guys are finished with your list, I'll give you guys a minute. Then Vicky, if you just want to kind of do 30 seconds of just so you can get that feel of like the words and whatnot. Yep. So yeah, I'll give you guys a minute. It's 1:30 now. Just write as many words as you can. Sitting in all the harsh bright lights, it's like kind of hard to see everything else around you. So most of you guys are probably gonna have laptop and book and table and brown hair or white paper or anything like that on your list, but try to get a little creative with it. another 10 seconds. 3, 2, and pencils down. I felt like a test for a second. So Vicky, if you'd like to go first and just give us a list of what you're noticing in your surroundings.
Okay, so I saw a raspberry carpet and a gold necklace and the tattoo on your hairline, which I think was a vine, and it's green, and curly hair, and white lights, and blue lights, and red exit signs, and a blue can, and then a powder thing on the floor.
Wicked.
And
Awesome.
that was my
Great list.
Great list. So mine's a little short. So I put lights that shine bright, cameras which capture our story, tables which hold our paper to tell our story, mics to listen to the truth of our voice.
Okay, that was much better.
Pretty deep. I mean, we were going for a literal aspect, but I like that because that's going to lead into what we're going to do next.
I wrote 5 little notebooks, gray computer, cameras on stands, carpet like the one at home, rows and rows of movie theater seats, and lights made of boxes.
Wicked. I like that. So the reason that we did that is because I wanted you guys to be present in the moment. The whole thing about songwriting is, like I said, it was like time traveling, right? So the duality of that is that you have to simultaneously travel back in time to experience those emotions while also maintaining presence so that you can write in the present tense, or even if you're writing in the past tense, you still have to be mindful, still have to kind of like be outside of the song watching yourself write while living that moment at the same time. That's the technical aspect and the emotional aspect. Now, in your list, did you notice that any of the items go together? I know you had a lot of colors in your list.
Yeah.
You had a lot of, you had a lot of emotional, you saw a lot of representation in what the things could mean and represent. And yours were a lot of, describing. It wasn't very short, but you were like very aware. So instead of just books, it was 5 little books, like there was a little bit extra on it. But did you guys notice any patterns in your lists?
Yes, for me, it was the patterns was just about the entire production of everything that's going on here. So that's where I see the connections as.
Cool. Any patterns in yours?
I mean, they kind of all go together. They're all kind of filming objects.
Which makes sense. We're in a
movie
studio.
theater sheet things and stuff like that, yeah.
What about you, Vicky? Any specific patterns?
Well, like you said, I think just color, and then I noticed the colors a lot, which I always do anyway.
Yeah, I think my favorite was raspberry carpet.
Well, it's kind of raspberry.
It is.
Yeah, it reminds me of like strawberry fields forever, So that goes into, so when you have that, when you start thinking about the words, that's where you can get an idea of the subjects that you're going to use for your songs. That's going to be, for example, in the little poem thing that I wrote here, it's supposed to be just like a subtitle, but when the words become prose, the song, it flows, who really knows the direction it goes? If I made a list, that could have come from a list that said words, flow, songs, direction, things like that. And, you can write out of a list from that. And just having a list with you is a good place to start, especially if you're experiencing writer's block, because then you can create your own prompts. So if you have 5 or 6 words in a list, then you can, make your own ad-libs. You can try to make up a story just using the words that are in your list. You can write a song or write a love song between the color yellow and the color green or something like that. But using that, or putting that aside for a moment, we're going to go into the third part of songwriting, which is the flow of songwriting. And my favorite exercise is to get used to that before stage, which I'm sure as a performer, Tennessee, you're familiar with, tongue twisters. So I know when I did drama in high school, we did a lot of tongue twisters before we went on stage. So if you guys could say this one with me, but try to say it really fast.
Yes.
All right.
Say red leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather. Cool.
I can't do it.
It gets a little hard after,
Red leather,
right?
yellow leather.
Now we're gonna step it up to the next one. Try this one.
Irish
wristwatch, Irish wristwatch, Irish
wristwatch. Irish wristwatch.
No, try this one.
That's real hard.
She sells by the seashore.
You get tripped up a little bit, right? But you notice, how is it that you get successful at saying tongue twisters?
do it over and over and over and
Get
over.
the
Give it a
rhythm?
beat. Give it a beat. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red
leather, yellow
So
leather,
much
red
easier
leather,
to
yellow
say,
leather.
right? Now we'll try this one again. Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch.
Irish wristwatch.
And it just becomes so much easier to say. And then she sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. And it's like tongue twister who? So here's a tongue twister that I wrote in high school actually, as like, I was like, I needed something really challenging, really long. But I noticed that this was when I was doing a lot of songwriting as well. So it kind of came out with its own flow. And it's like, Bobby and his brother ate some butter that was bitter, and the butter that they bit, it was as bitter as the brothers. But if you try to say it really fast, and the only reason I'm gonna be able to do this is because I've done it for like 10 years in a row. It's Bobby and his brother ate some butter that was bitter, and the butter that they bit was as bitter as his brothers. I did still trip up that, but if you notice, it was so much easier to say when there was a flow to it. Another really good one that follows this example, you guys might recognize this one. No? Do you know this guy?
Nope. Yeah.
Yes, that's Eminem.
This is a great example of all three sections I showed you today, because if you see the first 2 or 4 words, whatever he was planning, isn't even English.
Yeah.
This is a segment of Rap God. This song won a world record for the most amount of words in one song, and not even all the words are actual words. So Summalumma Doomalumma, you assuming I'm a human, what I gotta do to get it through to you, I'm superhuman. Summalumma Doomalumma is not even a word, and I'm not even sure if they counted those in the words in like the most words, the Guinness World Record or whatever. But that song still has a message to it. It's called Rap God. He goes on about, you know, he's trying to show the world, you know, and I'm not biased with artists. I'm not gonna say like Eminem's the greatest rapper of all time. I'm not gonna say he's a bad rapper either. I respect his craft, I respect what he does, and I respect the wordplay that he puts into his songs. But this song specifically sticks out to me because, you know, a lot of people put it down for the fact that like he's literally just shoving a bunch of words in a song, but I don't know about you, but when I listen to that song, I feel like I could be a rap god after, and I can't rap. So it's like, it is still conveying emotion, it is still including a mess of words, but the words don't necessarily have to inherently make sense from point A to point B, they just have to convey an overall emotion. So if you can, this one's a little bit harder, and it took me a while to practice, like the tongue twister that I had written in high school, but if you can, using your list, try to write a tongue twister. If you can't, you can think of one that you already know.
Okay.
But if you have one in
It's better
mind,
because I don't know how to do the words that I used.
no, that's okay. I mean, if you guys want to try to take the challenge for a minute, and then we can work together on some of the words that you said. So what was the words we had?
Raspberry carpet, gold necklace, vine tattoo, red light, blue light.
I think let's use red light, blue light. Red light, blue light. I don't know. See, this is a hard exercise. I was trying this the other day.
So bright, can't see.
Red
wait.
light, blue light.
So bright,
So bright.
can't see through. Can't see through the fight.
What about not night? Like it's daytime.
Yeah.
So bright, not night. So red light, blue light, so bright, not night. That's kind of hard because it's not alliteration like the other ones, but it
Yeah.
still trips you up a little bit.
Yeah.
But actually, I'll expand on that when these guys are finished too, because there's a reason that I wanted you guys to do this. And this example here is actually a good one to elaborate on. You look like he's got yours done? No, you're still thinking?
Still thinking.
No worries. I'll give you guys a couple minutes. How are you enjoying it so far?
It's good.
You're having fun?
I can.
Some interesting exercises, right?
Yeah.
I do this all the time at home. And even I'll sit there and I'll be like, is this weird? It's not. And then you get some like really nice lyrics out of it, and then you're like, you know what? It's okay if it's weird. 'Cause even vocal warm-ups sound weird. You're sitting there and you're like, la la la, moo ma mow, you know, before a song.
I know.
I'll give these guys a couple more minutes. If you guys can't, if you're stuck on something, by all means, like, you're more than welcome to let me know. We can either work it out together, or I just kind of wanted to give you guys an example of songwriting, because that's what this is. But here's the thing is when you're writing a song, when you're writing a tongue twister, you're thinking about, does this go together in the exact amount of beats? Are the words going to have the sound that I exactly want them to sing? That's a lot more rules than songwriting has. And that's like, we don't even need to share our tongue twisters unless you're proud of it. I just wanted to get you guys thinking about that, because that's what songwriting feels like to the everyday person. It's like, okay, now I have a bunch of words and now I have to put them in some kind of pattern. But you don't actually have to. That's not what songwriting is. So the tongue twister was just kind of, it's just showing you guys, kind of giving you that like stress of like trying to write a song. Do you have any part of it that you'd like to share? Yeah.
I mean, I've got some alliteration.
Sure.
Borrowed books become bad looks, and books about butterflies behave badly.
I like that. I like those. Did you have any?
Yeah, I don't think I hit exactly what we were supposed to hit on here, but what I put was light shine, camera lens, fish eye, tough to lie, truth time.
Okay. And then Vicky, you had red light, blue light, so bright, not night. But see, those, at the same thing, you have a flow, you have a beat. Even it's less so much as a tongue twister. I mean, yours is a little more, alliteration is a lot stronger when it comes to tongue twisters, but with especially what you hit there is there's a lot more flow, like it's a lot more like poetry. I bet if I was like, guys, write me a quick poem, it'd be a lot easier, right? Probably would be, because you know that poetry doesn't necessarily need to rhyme. You know, there are some certain types of poems that have certain, you know, syllables and certain stanzas, but when you do free writing or slam poetry or anything like that, it's, you know, more about how you present the emotion than the actual structure of it itself. And I want you guys to use that in your songwriting. I want you guys to stop looking at a song like a song and look at it like a poem. You can turn anything into a song. So if I even wanted to like look at this screen and write a tongue twister using your list, it's like, well, that couldn't really make a song unless I added another word, but it could, because I could be like, write a tongue twister using your list. You know, it's still, you can turn anything into a song. But that was just more of a practice. You don't actually need to go home and write more tongue twisters or anything like that. But when you start thinking about writing as if it does have rules, as if it's supposed to sound and look a certain way, then of course it's going to be hard. It's going to be just as hard as trying to come up with a tongue twister. But that's the thing. So we were talking about tongue twisters, and the reason that was important is just because of patterns. Patterns is something that makes us different from every other creature in this world. Humans can pick up patterns because of an internal beat we have, and there's not really, I mean, I'm no scientist, but I was looking it up, trying to find animals that have internal rhythms, and I mean, some of them would. You even have birds that make songs and whales that make songs, but none of those creatures have an actual internal rhythm. If you listen to their songs, it's not like, you know, that parrot's not singing on a 4/4 beat or nothing. Unless you teach it to mimic a song that is in 4/4 beat, then it'll seem like it can hold time, but it actually can't. We are the only species that consistently uses external instruments to convey various emotions in various songs beyond the animal's use of song for like just simply communication or just simply mating rituals or anything like that. I mean, some people do use songs for mating rituals, but that's just one of many aspects that we can use music for. So all three of these prompts were very different, right? So the first one we went into was, you know, it was just like, Megan, you brought us to like the deepest parts of our psyche, and then now you taught us to write a tongue twister, or you got us to write a tongue twister, like, what does this all mean? And it's the different aspects of the song. So we've got, the emotional aspect of the song, we've got the physical structure, and we've got the rhythmic structure. So when you look at songwriting, it seems to, any sort of structure of anything is like this much of this and this much of that, like it's some sort of recipe. I look at songwriting like this kind of shape, where it's two halves of a whole with the overlying emotion. So you have your physical structure, which would be your stanzas, your lines. Once again, no rules. It doesn't need to have a specific beat. It doesn't need to have a specific rhythm, as long as it just has the structure. Same thing with music structure. I guess the beat and the rhythm would go in music structure. But you have your physical structure of like the words or how the sounds are, the musical structure of everything, the musicality of everything, and then the overall conveyed emotion that just kind of blends with everything. So you can change that emotion by changing the instrumental or changing the lyrics or just changing how you present it. There are whole songs that their feeling just feels completely different between performing it as a band or performing it as like an acoustic set. There's, if you guys know the artist Shaky Graves, so he does some really, really amazing acoustic sets. And some of his acoustic live performances are like my favorite ones ever. But when you hear his studio stuff, it's still good, but it's not the same. It's just not the same at all. I see you writing it down as Audio Tree. His Audio Tree sessions are the best ones. But I've heard, what was the really big song that he had? I don't remember. Dearest? Something? I don't know, something like that. You'll come up. If you search his name, it'll come up. But he's got one song specifically that doesn't even sound the same. It doesn't even sound like it's the same song. It came up one day, and I was like, wait, I recognize these lyrics. And I look on Spotify, and sure enough, it was that same song. And I'm like, I don't like this because I like the acoustic version so much. But the way that you present is also a different change in the song. So like, if you're thinking too much about the physical structure, you're thinking too much about the word structure, then you're ignoring the whole conveyed emotion. Because once again, a song can just be as simple as, like if I sing, da 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 da, that's a lullaby song. And I can sing that without saying lullaby, lullaby. You'll already know what that song is without singing the lyrics. And I can sing that to my child and she'll still go to sleep because it's a nice soft song. She doesn't need the lyrics. It's all about the conveyed emotion over top of everything else. So we do have a final challenge. This one is a little bit harder, but I do have an instrumental. I will have to go, I was gonna go into my email for that. Just give me 1 second, guys. I have internet. Cool. So, I was gonna play a song for you guys today. So maybe we'll just skip this final challenge, and what I'm gonna ask for you guys to do is just take what you've learned today home and try to put it over a song. Try to, write a letter to yourself. Pick a certain moment in time where you felt a specific emotion. And then, pick an instrumental. You can usually find instrumentals on YouTube if you literally just search this type beat or emotional instrumental or acoustic instrumental. I was going to use some songs from a friend of mine who goes by the name of Stoney Montana. I was going to do a little plug from him. He provided some instrumentals for us, but unfortunately I was not quite as prepared today. But that's okay. If you guys are ever interested in looking for sources of songwriting or practicing, then you're more than welcome to contact me at the end, which I'll show you. I'll have that at the end so you guys can get all my contact info. But we'll just spare you the 15 minutes of actually writing a song. But everybody at home as well, I encourage you to go find an instrumental, take the practices here today, make lists of everything. It'll feel dumb for the first couple minutes. So you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, wow, I feel stupid. But every time you try something new, the only reason that you'll feel, I don't like using the word stupid actually, you'll feel off. Silly. You'll feel silly. But everybody first time I wore heels, I felt silly. And that's like, I'm a woman, that's like society expects that of me. But then, this summer I walked in one of the biggest fashion shows ever wearing 4-inch heels, and I walked down cobblestone right in the center of Halifax. And I didn't feel so silly, I felt powerful. So every time you try something new, you will feel silly. If you start writing lists about random things that are surrounding you, and you're like, why am I writing a list of the things that are around me? Well, you can tell yourself that you're practicing mindfulness and you're getting in tune to incorporating new words into your practice. You can write a random letter to yourself. That's just a good practice as it is for like getting your emotions out. And reading it out loud too is just a good way of making yourself feel any sort of closure from the situation. But when you start feeling that, when you were sharing your story, I almost felt like you were gonna break into song, because you were like, I could feel the emotion bursting out of you. And
I do like to pretend I live in a musical.
right? It's so fun. Man, like if you are ever home alone, or even if you don't care about singing in front of people, sing everything and just see how it feels, because you can convey any emotion that you want to. But what I would love for you guys to take, if there's anything you could take from this today, is practice. Practice, practice, practice. Get your books. Collect books. I like to collect books. That's why I brought these here today. So 2 of these are actually prompt books. I use the Buddhist Journal, Guided Practices for Writers and Meditations. And, I believe in that stuff. I'm a very spiritual person, but that's not why I got this. I got this because the first exercise that when I opened the book, it was like, take a sip of water and hold that water in your mouth, and then just write down and describe how you feel. It's like, what? How do there's water in my mouth. It feels wet. I'm thirsty. I am now more aware of how much thirstier I am because I want to swallow the water. But it gets you thinking in that present moment, and then it gets you thinking externally about your internal thoughts, which is a nice way to channel all of your emotions down into one subject so that you can actually turn it into song. And then you don't worry so much about, the rhyming scheme or the beat or the rhythm of it. It's when you think of the emotion, all of the extra rhythm and the flow and all of the feeling and everything will come after it. As long as you know what emotion you're going to convey, everything else will just come way easier. So since we're going to skip that final challenge anyways, I would like to hear from you guys. How do you feel about the challenges? How do you feel about the prompts? We'll go in our same circle.
Well, I learned a lot. I mean, I knew this is going to sound pompous, but I can back it up. I know I'm a really freaking good writer.
Look, you're here. You're performing tonight, of course.
That's
you're a good
the
writer.
one thing. There are several things I know I'm good at, and that is saying words and writing words and not bullshitting people. I don't have time for that. I have a learning disorder, and that makes it hard for me to do that and beat around the bush. Plus, I think it's rude. Just tell people what you mean. And feel kind of good about myself, because I know I was still hurt by what happened that day until I said it. And Mr. Rankin still has yet to apologize, even though I've asked for an apology and offered to bury the hatchet. He has not done so. And now he's bullying other women. So that's not great.
You can write a song. You can write a metal song or an angry song.
I'm gonna write one.
Evil Rankin.
I'm gonna write one to the beat up bad reputation.
Yes, I love that.
So,
well, I can't wait to hear it. You let me know if you need some help distributing.
And I think writing has always come easy to me, except for the whole writing it down part. There's a thing in my brain that I can come up with a whole chapter book in 20 minutes. But you want me to write that down? I can't do that. Because there's a block in my head. But if you were to sit next to me and go, okay, Vicky, go, and type it as I'm saying it, then I can say it and I can get it out. And I learned that I have to be a little easier on myself. I'm really hard on myself. Half the time I think, Vicky, you're a piece of shit. So I gotta be a little kinder to myself. And maybe get some more sleep, because I don't sleep because I'm like, there's so much to do. There's so many battles to fight, but you can't fight until you're, got yourself together. So just be easier on myself, I think, is what I want to.
Write more letters to yourself, because I could hear in that letter to yourself that you are very aware of, what you want for yourself. There's a lot of self-love. You seem like a very resilient person. But I could tell when you were saying that letter that you had written to yourself, it seemed like you really needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And so more of that, when you need to sleep, look in the mirror and be like, Vicky, go to sleep. Because you need to hear it from yourself. Yeah. No, I love that. I'm glad. And I really hope that some of this writing practice you can, take with you, and that it might help you, get through that. Awesome. What about you, Ryan?
Yes, I definitely feel more confident in my writing abilities. I'm definitely going to take the letter to your former self back into a practice. I actually might look at creating like a spoken word piece or a song out of it. I'm definitely going to. I learned a lot about the what's it called? The third exercise that we did. I can't remember.
Tongue twisters.
Tongue twisters. Yes. I definitely need some work in that area, so I'm gonna
see if you practice.
practice a little bit more.
Take tongue twisters that are hard for you. Find the most difficult ones for you, and give it a beat, and you'll find everything's so much easier because we have that internal rhythm. And when you channel that internal rhythm, everything comes. It's the same way as like when people say they're at work and they get into a flow. Flow is the most important thing. You know, it's what keeps us going. It's what drives the motivation that sparks our flow. Like motivation sparks our flow, but flow is what keeps us going. When we're writing, there's a flow. When we're performing, there's a flow. When you're acting, there's a flow. Poetry has a flow. Even if it doesn't have specific stanzas or a specific writing format or rhyming words or schemes or anything like that, there's still a flow. That's what like slam poetry is all about. Is that's like 99% flow, 1% words.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think that's something I'm going to do is focus more on that flow piece when doing songwriting, writing poetry, writing scripts. What is the flow piece of it?
Yeah. Wicked.
What did I learn today? I feel like, I knew that writing was an essential part of songwriting, but I hadn't connected that in my brain. Like, I hadn't really thought about it, nothing but it. Now I'm thinking, yes, writing is very important for songwriting. In order to, like, get it, you need to really be able to write words. And so, practice. I think I want to do a lot more writing practice.
Yeah. It's practice, practice, practice. Like I said, these are just a few, like this small one here is my purse book. So I keep the tiny one in my purse, and that's got little, like this one actually I specifically use just for tiny little poems. So like one day I was like, had this tiny little poem called House Pet. So I just want to be a house pet, a sunny spot to sit where all my needs are met, and time does not exist, and yet some days are different, but every day my bowl is filled. None of it rhymes, but there's still a flow to it. Yeah. But that was just like, I was like in a coffee shop or something. I think I was doing homework, and I was like, oh yeah, I have my notebook. And this like house pet idea, I was like, I wish I was my cat. Because like I spoil my cat, and like she's always got food, she's always got toys, she's always got, love and this and that. And then the flow just came, channeled the flow, and then that came out. And I've got a couple other poems and stuff in there, but it was just more of the usefulness of having that there. That's why you always carry a journal around, because you can be like, if you have something in your head and you don't normally practice writing, then you can be like, I can write this down. This is something that I can write down. And even if what you're writing down means absolutely nothing, I've got little sticky notes with random sentences that don't mean something on some days, and then I look at them the next day and it's like, whoa, that's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just write things down. I guess, did you guys have any questions for me after this? Is there anything that you would like to specifically take on moving forward, or anything that you would like more tips on, or?
Do you do like workshops generally like this?
This is my first one ever.
Oh, well, you did a really good job.
Amazing job.
Thank you. This is my first, outside of, I've done some 15-minute like talks in classes on Zoom and stuff, but this is my first in-person workshop. So thank you.
You should do more of them so I can pay you money to teach.
I appreciate that. Well, I do have, feel free to take down my contact info. I'll leave that up on my way out as I'm taking things down. And you guys can, the QR code goes straight to my link tree. So if you guys end up grabbing your phones on you before I leave, then take a Snapchat of that. Message me anytime. I'm most active on Instagram. I'm trying to be more active on Twitter. Me and my whole 25 followers.
26.
26?
You'll get one more.
Can I get your autograph?
Sure.
Wicked. Awesome. We'll exchange autographs.
Yes, we
because
do.
We're both obviously very famous.
Yes, we're very famous.
And I do love your work. I did actually see the video of you telling off the Prime Minister.
Oh,
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like a badass.
Any questions from you guys? Or comments or anything?
Just about your process when you're recording in the studio, how different is that for when you're writing your music?
It's very similar, actually. So I was actually going to share this, and I totally forgot about it. The reason that I do all of this extra practice is because of the anxiety I developed in the studio. I'm a woman in a man's world, so I end up in a situation where I'm usually the only woman in the room. And I'm a feminist, but I'm not like one of those I hate men feminists. I believe everybody's equal. But there's a lot of intimidation factor when you're like the only woman in the room and everybody's looking at you and they're all career musicians and they're expecting you to be this already superstar. And then it's like, well, I had 52 listeners on Spotify this year, so like, give me a minute. I love what I do, and I love the music that I create, and the practice got me to be able to sit down and write whole songs in 5 minutes. So because of the fact that I practice so much, because I've got 5 of my hundreds of journals that are like, most of them are packed like front to back too. Because I practice so much, being able to write, it just comes naturally to me. And I don't mean that necessarily in a boastful way. I mean that in a, I've been writing consistently since I was about 10 years old, so that's 17, that's almost 20 years of writing. So obviously it's going to come naturally. It's not something that I was born good at. It's not something that anybody is born good at. We literally spent at least 5 years in school writing, all the way up to like grade 12, where you have to get a good mark in English class just to be able to go to university. So you have to be, like, there's writing practice in every year of our life up until adulthood. But when you start to take on creative writing and you do things like write random lists of whatever you see around you, or, you know, write random letters to yourself or friends that, you know, you haven't spoken to in a while, or pick somebody you're mad at that you haven't talked to in a couple of years, write a letter to them. I did that once. I was upset with somebody, and I did that whole, like, the one thing you never do, where you write a message in your notes app, and that's when you realize that they're not worth talking to, is like when you have to prepare that message. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to send them this. Because that right there, doing that, felt good enough. But then I was like, no, I'm still heated. So I said the letter to somebody else who wasn't involved in the situation. They didn't know these people. And I was like, I need you to listen to this. And by the end of it, they were like, whoa, that was a lot. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? I don't feel mad anymore. So take home those letters and you know, write yourself letters at home and say them into the mirror. And the way that relates to songwriting is because you can do that, and you can make up letters too. If you want to write a love song about some random girl that you saw passing in the park one day, write a whole letter to her, and write about how you saw, even if she's a fake person, even if you never actually saw a person in the park, even if you never went to the park that day, but you want to write a cutesy song about some girl you saw in the park, then just write a letter and be like, dear random girl I saw in the park, I love that dress you were wearing. It was very beautiful and flowy. What a nice day, and the birds were flying past you. Things like that. And then you'll already have half a song written, because all you need to do is segment that letter and then give it some flow and then add some music to it. I was trying to find examples of songs that are kind of like that. One of them, I guess, would be Locksmith, 10K on drums. The whole song is a verse. So he doesn't even have a structure to his song. It's literally like he's telling people, I don't need to write a chorus to my song because I'm really good at rapping. And he uses that flow in the rap to do a whole rap about, like, yeah, I don't actually need to, like, write any structure to my song. But the song is amazing. Like, if you don't know Locksmith 10K on drums is like, that's my gym song. That is my, like, I want to punch the treadmill. I just go to run at the gym. But yeah, so there's no rules to writing, and practicing writing will definitely increase your skills tenfold. And it doesn't matter what you write. You don't have to write songs to practice songwriting. Songwriting is the final stop of the eons of practice that it'll take to just be able to do it quickly. And all of you seem like very creative people, and all of you do have some form of writing in what you do already. So take that and then expand on that with these types of prompts. Go to the bookstore, find yourself a prompt book. You can find them on Google too if you want to find external prompts, or even if you're active on social media, you know, do the improv thing where, you know, you ask the audience for a suggestion of what you're going to do for improv. I don't know if you've ever done improv practice for acting. Yeah. I used to be on an improv team in high school. So interesting.
I was on one in university.
You were in one in university?
It was awesome.
It's fun, but it was very interesting. And you know what? Use that improv skill with your own writing. Like, pretend that the list you write is a list of suggestions from an audience. And instead of, you know, an on-the-spot script, you're writing an on-the-spot song out of the improv prompts that you have. So yeah. Unless you guys have any other questions or comments for me, I think I am all finished. And I loved hearing what you guys had to say today, and, you know, your memories. And I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with in the future. Cool. Thank you.
Yay. Clap now. Yay.
Yeah.